We're growing some moss. What's up, guys? Today we are growing some moss. Okay, if you are new here, my name is Emma and I'm also known as the Urban Botanist, and I love moss. I love touching moss, I love growing moss, I love making moss walls. Moss is just the best. I think that we can all agree. Because if you're watching this video, chances are maybe you at home want to grow some moss too. Or maybe you have some growing outside. Maybe you'd like to have more moss growing outside. In my case, I want more moss covering different textures, different spaces, different surface areas in my backyard. And so I figured I would make a video about how to grow your own moss. Because apparently it's a lot easier than you might think. Okay, my plant room has literally turned into a jungle, but I'm just gonna use my massive corpse plant as just like a little umbrella. Now, if you've been following this channel for a while, you guys know that I just recently moved to Chelsea, Quebec, into what I can only describe as my forever dream home. I'm sitting on 3.5 acres of pretty wild forest. Yesterday, we had black bears in our backyard. We've actually seen black bears for the last 3 or 4 days. And I don't know if it's like multiple black bears or the same black bear that just keeps coming around, but there are freaking bears in our backyard, okay? And I would say it's untouched, but unfortunately that's not entirely true. I mean, I guess fortunately and unfortunately, because so much of my backyard is covered in invasive species of plants, mostly periwinkle. It is just like absolutely covering every single frickin' inch of my yard. So I have this vision of removing that invasive plant and replacing it with moss. I also have a few other spots that I really want to put moss, and I'm going to bring you guys around and show you those spots that I have in mind. And they are in varying areas of shade and sun. So I'm going to be using 2 different species of moss and 2 different varieties here. One that is meant to be grown in the shade and one that's meant to be grown in the sun. Mossify was kind enough to send me over some of their packages to try and grow my moss from scratch. It's also July and it's more recommended to start growing this in the springtime, but I'm gonna try it anyways because life has just been crazy. If you haven't already watched my rewilding series, I will link it in the description down below. It's basically a step-by-step series that shows you my new property and how I am planning on removing invasive species like periwinkle and replacing it with native species. This is all in an attempt to boost biodiversity and support the native plants and animals that live here. But without further ado, let's get into making some moss. Start out with the growable moss for the shade because I can automatically think of a few spots that I definitely want to put this. The instructions also say that there are 2 ways to go about applying this. I'm going with option 1, which is called the paste method, where I'm basically mixing the contents with water and then I'm going to paste it onto the rock and a couple other little spots that I want this moss to grow on. Another way you could have done this, which actually probably would have worked a lot easier, except I don't have a hose that can reach these particular parts of my yard that I want moss to grow, is you can sprinkle the powder on top of the areas where you want moss to grow and then just water it with your hose. But because these spots are a little bit more precarious to reach, I can't really get my hose out there. So this method is what's going to work best for me. Surprised by how much water this needed. It's obviously like such a dry and porous material that it actually takes quite a bit of water, so keep that in mind when you are mixing. Okay, so I just had the thought, I wonder how much one package is actually going to cover, and it says here that 1 bag will do up to 15 square feet. So I think I'm gonna go ahead and put a second bag into this bucket because the amount of space I'm covering is definitely more than 15 square feet. It kind of has a funky smell, I'm not gonna lie. It would truly be so cool if this works. Woo. Okay. I just feel like you can look at this as like a paintbrush and paint. Like wherever you place this down, moss will grow. Like, how freaking cool is this? The instructions do say that you want to water your moss twice a day. So that's gonna be tricky for me because of the place that I'm planning on laying this stuff out, but I'm just gonna do my best. Like, what else can we do? Some other really cool spots that I think would look so wicked with moss is if you were to cover like old chairs, big stones, even cracks in your hardscaping. That would look really cool. I mean, really, you can just get so creative with where you put this stuff down. It also usually takes 3 months for the moss to establish itself and a full 9 to 12 months for it to start growing. So while I'm gonna put this stuff down now, I probably won't really be reaping the mossy benefits until this time next year. So I really do wanna get a kickstart on growing this moss because I really do have like the perfect places to put it. Curious if anybody has ever tried growing moss in this fashion. If so, please let me know in the comments. Mine is looking like it's ready to go, so let's head outside. I feel like the moss is going to grow really well here because it is so shaded. There's already lots of moss growing in this area. I just want there to be more moss. This entire area is sitting behind a new structure that we just finished building. Basically at our old home, we had a gym in the basement, and this house doesn't have a basement. So we kind of had to like build a basement, but it's more like a shed, and that shed is going to be our gym because my partner is really into fitness, really into exercise. So we have a lot of gym equipment and we really had nowhere to put it. We considered completely transforming our garage and like finishing our unfinished garage, but that was really expensive, and it actually turned out that it was cheaper for us to get a whole new building built from scratch. And so that's what we did. And I have this vision of calling it the Moss Gym. I'm still like workshopping that name because the back 2 windows of the gym look right out into this forest, and I just want like the whole thing to be covered in moss. That is like my blue sky scenario, perfect situation. I'm gonna put some on top of this log. I'm basically not gonna have much updates because, like I said, it takes 9 to 12 months for this stuff to grow, but I will still be checking in on it periodically and sharing those updates here on YouTube and also on my Instagram. So if you're not following me on Instagram, make sure that you are. So this is the gym to be. It's not finished yet. For context, we thought that this would take us like a month. I don't know where those expectations came from. The door alone took like 3 months to arrive and get installed, like disaster. But I'll show you inside and show you the vision for Moss Gym, which is mostly my partner's space, but like obviously I have to have a say. My favorite part definitely is this door, even though it took forever. It was so worth the wait because it's just like a great big window that you can open up and let fresh air move through. Oh, it's gorgeous. Like I said, it's not finished yet, but this was a complete and total empty shell like 2 months ago. We had to insulate it all, we had to drywall it, put these panels up on the wall. I did like a light pine and then a beam across the top to connect the 2 pot lights, and then these 2 great big windows on the back of the building. So it's these windows that I want you to be able to peer through and just see like moss growing everywhere. That is the vision. Probably still quite a few months away from that, but you know what? It's all about planting that seed of inspiration to bring it to life. Okay, this giant boulder needs to be covered in moss. Like, there's just no other way. Actually, I'll tell you, when I first came and saw the house, which was totally on a whim, by the way. We almost didn't come and see it. We weren't planning on moving. But when we first came and saw the house, we did a walk of the outside before I even stepped foot inside. And I do have a full home tour of the inside and outside of my home. It is on my YouTube channel. I will link it in the description below so you can catch yourself up. But this rock was covered in moss, like complete carpet of moss. It was right about here where I broke down, started crying, saying, oh my God, like, can you imagine if we lived here? This house is perfect. Like, look at this mossy boulder. And you might be wondering, okay, well, why is there no more moss on it, Emma? Like, where did the moss go? And I had the same question when we came back the second time to view the house. Obviously, the previous owner had thought, oh my God, who would want this mossy rock? I'm gonna go out and scrape the moss down, get the place looking perfect, pristine, so that these potential buyers wanna buy it that much more. And I didn't notice it that second time because I was focusing on other things. Not that it would have changed anything, but how tragic. And also, who has that mindset? Like, I get it. It does look really cool with this boulder kind of like jutting out from the landscape, and it's absolutely stunning, but she needs to be covered in moss again. Okay, so another actual literal dream of mine would be for this entire forest floor to be covered in moss. There are some patches right now that are here of a few different species. I'm seeing pole moss, I'm seeing juniper moss, I'm seeing some different sheet mosses, but unfortunately there are so many different species that are invasive, including a lot of periwinkles. So it's not going to be an easy task, but I am up for the challenge, because when I tell you that a moss bed would be an actual dream, guys, I would just come out here and lay on it. I'd start my day like that, I'd end my day like that. And also, moss is just a really integral part of an ecosystem. It's really a beneficial plant that you can introduce when thinking about rewilding a habitat. By adding a full-blown layer of extra moss here, I'd basically be adding in a water retention system, because moss can absorb up to 20 times its weight in water. It helps to keep the trees hydrated and grounded, helps to prevent erosion and reduce runoff. And I just find it fascinating that moss is one of the most prehistoric plants that still exist on the planet today. It's one of the first plants to colonize an ecosystem after it's been completely wiped out. So it really is a testament to how strong this species of plant can be. Moss also plays a massive role in capturing and storing carbon. So you best believe that by planting even just a small amount of square footage here in my little forest, that I will be contributing in a positive way towards climate change. Now, another thing you might not know about moss is it doesn't really have roots. Instead, it absorbs moisture directly from the air, which means that it's able to trap airborne toxic pollutants. So we're also going to be improving our outdoor air quality here. Moss is also really low-key, like it really is not all that high maintenance. Now, I realize that I'm not based in the West Coast where moisture isn't all that big of a problem. It is a lot more dry here in the East Coast of Canada. I'm obviously based in Quebec. I'm right on the border of Ontario, so some species may not have as great of a time thriving here, but I'm still super confident that we can do it because there already is a lot of frickin' moss growing here. So stay tuned to watch this mossy journey unfold. I hope that you learned something new in this video, and if you have any tips at home for growing moss, please let me know in the comments down below. This is totally new to me and I have almost no idea what I'm doing, so I would absolutely love your perspectives. As always, thank you so much for tuning in. Make sure that you are subscribed to my channel and we will see you in the next video. Bye for now.